Right. We'll wait right till the top of the hour and then we'll get kicked off. So anybody still rolling in, we'll just take another minute and we'll get going. Okay, the clock has struck 12. So we are going to kick right off. Welcome, everybody. Uh, Welcome to our Securing the Cloud webinar today. We are here with some of our wonderful partners from AWS and Wiz. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us today, especially our two customers from Expel, from DBT Labs, and from Inductive Automation. We're going to introduce them here shortly, but really, really excited to hear them both speak. Uh, just so you know, today's session is meant to be interactive. That means you're going to hear from me a little bit, from our partners, from our customers. But this also means if you have any questions, please make sure to drop those into the chat. And we're going to do our best to get those answered at the end of our chat here today. So thank you guys again, and looking forward to seeing what those are going to look like. So let me start by introducing who I am. And I'm going to be your MC and host for the day. So my name is Scott Gold. I am one of the leaders here on the solutions architecture team at Expel. I've been with the company for about 5 years now, and it's really an honor to be able to host this webinar today. Again, really, really excited about the things that we are going to be talking about. So before we hop in and get to all the questions and talking to all the people on the panel, I want to kind of help us understand, like, how did we land on securing the cloud, right? Like, why is this the topic that we chose to go with? And I've got some great information that I wanted to kind of share and run through. So one of the things that we looked at when determining how the session was going to be formed and what the topic is a published report by Gartner. And what we saw is that there is a clear shift in IT spending from traditional non-cloud systems to public cloud services. And that's continuing to grow. Organizations embrace cloud to drive IT efficiencies and transform their digital operating models. A lot of this stemmed from a rapid increase in adoption during the COVID-19 pandemic, and IT spending on public cloud services is forecasted to exceed over $1 trillion through 2027. This comprises approximately 18% of the total IT spend and 58% of the total addressable market for cloud services. This was further validated in an Expel survey of cybersecurity buyers in 2023. Buyers reported a continuing investment in cloud computing, shifting from non-cloud, on-prem, remote branch locations to a cloud and SaaS, infra and platform as a service forward, right? Growing 5% over the next 18 months. So what does this mean for us, right? What this means is that the shift in cloud is going to force an equivalent shift in security approaches and technologies. Our traditional strategies become less and less effective as organizations continue to adopt cloud native approaches, services, and applications. All right, so I've given a little bit of context, and I'm going to talk a little bit more. But before we go on, I want to make sure to take a moment and introduce all the people that are going to be joining us today. And I want to get to know them a little bit better. So, Aaron, maybe if you'd like to kick us off, we can go right down the slide. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Scott. First off, let me say something that sounds obligatory, but is truly sincere, and that is thank you, Scott, Caitlin, Courtney, the rest of the Expel team for putting this together. I am truly humbled to have been asked to participate in this webinar where I think we're actually going to cover stuff that's useful. And you attendees, hopefully you'll get some really good, valuable tips out of this. As for myself, I lead the security program at DBT Labs. We're a venture-backed software as a service platform that was built around an open source product DBT, or Data Build Tool, is a data transformation engine that's used by thousands of analytics engineers to transform raw data into trustworthy data products. And I joined the company because I'm truly passionate about data and security, and have gotten an awesome experience over the last almost 2 years that I've been with the company. And the truth is that we're a true digital native, and it's a really interesting experience for me working in a company that is so cloud focused and so SaaS focused. And so I think there's a lot to cover today with the panelists here that is really interesting to me. So thanks again, and back to you, Scott.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Aaron. Jason, maybe over to you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm Jason Waits, CISO at Inductive Automation. I like to describe Inductive Automation as the coolest company you've never heard of. We've been here about 9 years, building out the security program. We have a really great mission because we make SCADA software used by thousands of customers in hundreds of countries, including about 60% of the Fortune 100. So every critical industry you can think of, from nuclear to pharma, oil, water, gas, um, data centers, a lot of robotics. So really great mission, and a lot of really cool customer base. We are not fully cloud native. We're hybrid. We're about 20 years old, so we run our own data centers, as well as increasingly growing cloud environment.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. Ashok, you want to go next?
Sure. Thanks, Scott, and thanks for having me here. Hello, everyone. My name is Ashok Mahajan, and I'm a Senior Partner Solution Architect at Amazon Web Services. I'm part of the global startup team that focuses on startups. And in my role specifically, I work with security startups in their enablement journey on AWS that focus on co-build and like go-to-market motions. Been in InfoSec for close to 18 years now, with expertise in identity and access management, application security, data protection, and of course, cloud migration across multiple domains.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. And last but certainly not least, Shashank.
Hey, thanks, Scott. Hey, everyone. My name is Shashank. Appreciate you all taking the time today to join us for the webinar. I'm a product marketer over at Wiz. Wiz is a cloud security platform. In acronym terms, we do CNAP. Traditionally, we focused on securing cloud resources, so infrastructure in the cloud. But just this month, we released Wiz Code, so we're shifting a little bit more into the developer landscape of things and securing your CI/CD pipelines, your code itself. But really excited to be here. I've collaborated and worked with the Expel team to support the integration that we have, where we send Wiz issues that we find to the wonderful cybersecurity experts at Expel, and really excited to chat through the webinar today. So thank you for being here.
Agreed. Thanks, Shashank. And thank you to everybody for joining us here. So I think we've got a poll that's about to drop. So y'all should see a pop-up come in about where you are in your cloud journey. So definitely take a second and fill it out accordingly. Before we get into our Q&A, though, I've got some more thoughts on cloud security. So I want to dive a bit more into securing the cloud and talk a little bit about it, right? So it's no surprise that cloud breaches are on the rise. And with that, so is the demand for better cloud security and managed detection and response services like Expels. I'm a sucker for some stats, so I'm going to drop a bunch on you all right now, as well as hear from our panel about these stats, right, to help tee up the conversation further. So first, cloud-based cyber attacks have grown by nearly 50% year over year. This is being driven primarily by phishing and account takeover attacks that are targeting cloud infrastructures specifically. Even more concerning is ransomware attacks, right, on cloud services have increased by a staggering 105% just in the last year. These types of attacks are not only more frequent, but they're also more costly. And in fact, the average cost of a cloud-based data breach is about 5.6 million in 2023, compared to only about 4.35 million for a traditional on-prem environment, right? And this is kind of just due to the flexible and powerful nature of cloud. The blast radius of cloud breaches can just be larger than on-prem attacks. What we're seeing is that cloud has really become that new battleground. And organizations are recognizing and responding to this. Spending on cloud security tools is expected to reach 12.6 billion by the end of this year. and that's reflecting a 14.3% increase in just this year alone. These stats show us that as businesses continue to move to the cloud, their attack surface will continue to grow, and they will face more sophisticated threats there. The shift is driving an urgent need for solutions like Expels that can keep up to date with both the complexity and pace of the modern cloud environment. So we discussed a little bit of that general need, got some stats, percentages, all the good stuff, right? But I want to shift gears just a little bit and talk about some of the specific challenges that our customers here at Expel have faced when it comes to securing their cloud environments and how we've been able to help them. So in 2023, the Expel SOC saw a 72% increase in cloud infrastructure incidents. Because like we said, the complexity of the cloud environments and the disparity across tooling, it can be hard to get the right decision support and context behind any specific cloud alert, right? From there, then you've got to be able to prioritize those different types of alerts and respond effectively and efficiently to each one. Typically, there are going to be gaps across most products and a general lack of holistic coverage across all these workloads. Many providers in the MDR space are primarily focused on delivering their service against the endpoint and SIEM, except for Expel. So because of the vast amount of data, right, and all of the customers that Expel gets to service, we've really identified 3 key areas that are the most challenging for our users in the cloud. I'm going to talk a little bit about these, and then I promise we'll get to all the good questions. So first, misconfigurations and complexities remain the most significant risk to organizations. As cloud environments grow, particularly those who are adopting multi-cloud strategies, the potential for misconfigurations skyrocket. Something as simple as an S3 bucket potentially being set to public can have disastrous consequences for a given organization. In fact, 45% of data breaches are linked to misconfigured cloud environments. And with 87% of companies operating in either a hybrid or with a multi-cloud strategy, managing consistent security policies across platforms becomes even harder. Organizations are struggling to monitor their entire cloud. Expel's MDR helps those organizations navigate cloud complexity in a few ways. So first, Expel covers more cloud services than most of our competitors. We're able to monitor areas where previously there was a lack of visibility. And as part of our MDR service, we offer resilience recommendations when we find misconfigurations and let our customers know along the way how to avoid those in the future and how to fix them. The next one is just around cloud-specific threats, right? And the inability to detect and respond to those. Many traditional security tools weren't designed with the cloud in mind, except for Wiz maybe, right? And which means they can miss cloud-native threats like account takeovers or issues with certain privileges being assigned. As more organizations are moving their workloads to the cloud, they're encountering these new types of attacks and attacks they might not be set up to catch. Because of the flexible and powerful nature of cloud infrastructure, like we talked about, these breaches tend to have a much larger reach and impact on any given organization. This again is where Expel comes into play, right? We offer customers high fidelity cloud specific detections. As well, the ability to tune those detections for each one of our users' environments, ensuring that even sophisticated attacks are caught and mitigated. Our detection and response engineers are constantly researching new attack theories and methods and new cloud platform services, which will help keep our alerts and policies at Expel up to date and relevant. And lastly, hiring and retention. I think we all know that organizations have struggled to find cybersecurity talent generally, and you know that gap in coverage creates a potential gap in their security posture and can actually slow down incident response times. Expel helps close that gap by acting as an extension of our customer security teams. Our Expel SOC provides 24/7 coverage with a team of experienced analysts. Our crew helps organizations stay secure without the need to hire additional in-house talent. We've been doing this for 8 years, detecting and responding to cloud threats, and because of that, Expel's team have the right set of skills to help our customers secure their cloud. All right. You've heard a lot from me, and I appreciate it. I think we've got one more poll that's about to drop right in, and then we're going to start to move into some of the Q&A. So let me close that window out. All right, so let's chat. All right, let's get it going. I want to start with a couple questions for our partners, starting with Wiz. So Shashank, how do you think Expel's integration with Wiz is shaping how customers are facing cloud security challenges? What does this solve for them?
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Great question. I'm definitely going to chat about the integration, but I think before I do, I just want to kind of highlight the most common cloud security challenges that a lot of our customers come to solve. We kind of break them down into three specific buckets. It starts with visibility, then it goes to prioritization of any risks or issues that we're finding, and then the third is how do you really embed security into other teams, specifically the developers that work at an organization. So I think those are kind of the three main challenges. And when it comes to visibility, what we're generally seeing is how do I just get visibility into the attack surface that I have that I need to protect, right? Do I know all of the cloud services that we're using? If there's a team that starts a new containers or Kubernetes project, do I understand that that's now part of the attack surface that I'm responsible for, that I'm protecting as a cloud security team? And then if there's another team that starts using a new AI service, is that something that I'm aware of as a potential new misconfiguration or a vulnerability that might pop up in my environment? So visibility is number one. And the way that Wiz addresses this is we are an agentless solution. So as soon as you hook up Wiz, whether there is a host or not a host, there's no agent installation necessary. So we can kind of see across your whole cloud and understand what vulnerabilities, what misconfigurations exist across your whole cloud landscape. And Expel does a great job of kind of complementing our solution there because Expel looks at more than just Wiz. It has other sources kind of built into its detections. So not only do you get visibility from Wiz, but then you also get all the visibility that Expel has for multiple other sources. The second one, once you have visibility into everything and you understand the inventory of your cloud, is the risks that exist. So you have to understand all the misconfigurations, the vulnerabilities, the sensitive data that exists across your cloud. But even more importantly than understanding your risks is understanding exactly how to prioritize the risk that exists there, right? So if somebody on your team has an hour out of their day to fix security issues, what are the top 5, top 3 issues that they can solve that have the largest impact for your security posture across your cloud profile? That's super critical. And again, Expel is key in this because as we pass on our Wiz issues to the cybersecurity experts at Expel, for a lot of our customers, the Expel cybersecurity experts have the context from looking at other tenants, looking at other issues that are happening in the cloud, and then applying those to understand what is important to prioritize that's going to have the largest impact. And then the final one is just the democratization, again, bringing developers on the journey with security. What Wiz has found is the biggest problem for a lot of cloud security teams and development teams is when you send issues to developers, the question becomes, why is this more important than this feature that I need to build, that I need to push out? Kind of the secret sauce that we found is context is king. So if you provide the developer with the context that, hey, this issue that we're sending you is actually now running in production. It's not just a thing that we're sending you, but it's running in production, being used by customers, and there's a known exploit for this vulnerability. That type of context immediately lets the developer know that, hey, maybe this is something that we should prioritize a little higher than a normal security issue that comes to us. So I think those are kind of the 3 significant challenges, and then also how Expel kind of helps us across the board there.
Yeah, I think that's a great explanation and great answer there, Shashank. So thank you. And yes, context is definitely king. So I would agree on that front for sure. Awesome. Ashok, I have a question for you then. How do you see the partnership between Expel and Wiz benefiting AWS users?
Thanks for the question, Scott. Well, here at AWS, right, the security is our top priority. And it's basically the foundation of what we develop, what we design. Basically, it is the cornerstone of our secure, resilient infrastructure and services, right? So AWS basically enables you to leverage the security tools and capabilities to protect the workload so that you basically spend less time worrying about security and more time on your core business model. And when we talk about security, I think it is important to call out the shared responsibility model when you're developing on AWS. And what that really means is AWS is responsible for security of cloud, whereas you as a customer are responsible for security in the cloud. So let me elaborate that a bit, right? Like when I talk about security in the cloud or security of the cloud, AWS is responsible for protecting the infrastructure that runs all your AWS services, whereas your responsibility is dependent on the service that you select. And it is important to understand this model, right? Because this model definitely helps you relieve from the operational burden. But understanding or lack of understanding of this model or any misconfiguration can lead to security gaps. Shashank talked about the visibility, right? I think this integration between Wiz and Expel helps you gain that visibility, enhance your detective control, and helps you define an incident response plan based on the priority of incident and avoid disruption to your workload. Basically, around the clock security that's both powerful and user friendly. I think another key aspect from an operational standpoint that we see is how do you reduce, the false positive and alert fatigue, allowing your security team to focus on genuine threats. And this is, I think, extremely critical for organizations that are in like early stages of migration to cloud. I think this integration in particular is powerful for AWS users as it combines Wiz's deep understanding of cloud environment with Expel's advanced threat detection and response capability. It provides, I think, a more holistic approach to secure AWS environment, right from infrastructure configuration to real-time threat detection, helping organization to maintain a security posture while leveraging the full potential of the services that AWS offers.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and thanks for that. I think definitely important, right? As people are building out their, whatever their reason is to migrate to the cloud, they need to focus on that. And then, yeah, between Wiz and Expel, we can keep them secure along their journey. So, certainly appreciate those insights. Thank you. Okay. We are finally, I think, going to hear Aaron and Jason give us some insights. So we really appreciate you guys hanging on. I'm really excited for to hear them on a couple of these topics. So want to focus on them right now and how they are using Wiz in AWS and Expel together and some of the impacts that it's had for their organization. So Jason and Aaron, welcome again. Thanks for hanging out and listening to us for a little bit there. So you were both with Expel prior to, integrating with Wiz. How important was it to have this integration available to you? In other words, how does the combination of AWS Wiz and Expel, equal more than the sum of its parts? Aaron, maybe take it for you first.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for finally getting to me, Scott. It's been a lot of storytelling about the horrors of cybersecurity, which is where I live, and so I'm a little bit comfortable with my discomfort. Uh, Listen, my role is to enable developers at DBT Labs to delight our customers by improving our platform quickly and safely. And I think, AWS, the value prop has always been very clear. Um, I don't know about our attendees, but I certainly remember putting in a budget proposal in Q2 for the Q4 big planning meeting, and then maybe in Q1 I get to order hardware, and then it gets racked and stacked and turned on, and like it's been 18 months since I had this idea of what I wanted to launch before I could finally get something out. And with AWS, like, it's 7 minutes, right? And that includes creating the new account and running your CloudFormation stack to set it up the way that your security team tells you to do. Like, it is so easy, and so they can move fast, right? And I think that one of the trade-offs with that kind of efficiency is that the shared security model that Ashok was talking about, it it's really hard for security team to keep up with AWS innovations. There are so many engineers building so much amazing new stuff and putting it out all the time that we have to figure out not just how to keep up with traditional security issues and how to enable our company to move faster with the SaaS options it has, but also stay ahead of those new innovations. There are a lot more AWS engineers than there are security engineers on my team. So I need something to help me really understand and grok all of those changes. And so cloud security tools emerged to help us out, right? Shashank talked about Wiz helping teams prioritize. It absolutely does. I mean, that is what it does for me every single day, every single minute. It says, here are all the alerts, here are all the issues, here are all the misconfigurations, but here are the 3 that actually matter. Go fix those now. And that's really, really helpful to me, because if I think about it, in the way that Expel then comes in to help me understand what some of those alerts are saying and whether they're false positives, it gives me the peace of mind that I can go hire the best people to run my security teams that are going to care most about my unique challenges and not really have to worry about the commodity infrastructure and the business systems problems. So all of it together really makes me run faster, and it makes me a lot better capable of delivering that value safely.
Yeah, that's awesome, Aaron. I'm glad you feel that way. And we definitely want to make sure you guys have that space at DBT, right, to go tackle those unique challenges and do the things that you guys love to do over there. Jason, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I probably agree with everything Aaron said, but I'll keep talking otherwise. We definitely have a best of breed approach here. We like to always choose the absolute best solution for any given problem. So I think AWS is a bit self-explanatory. It's easy to hire people who have AWS skill sets. It's the resilience and scalability gains we've gained. The ability to just spin up architecture on demand. And not have to rack and stack appliances and go through PO processes. So that's been fantastic for just from a scaling perspective. We added on Wiz and Expel just because we wanted best of breed cloud security tools. We felt Wiz was a leader in the space. We tried many others. And Wiz has been a really nice kind of holistic tool for us that can span from developer to cloud engineer to security engineer to GRC. And we can kind of speak the same language and have a very similar framework to prioritize these risks. And then, but we still need people to respond to these alerts, these risks. And so that's where Expel came in for us. We felt they had you'll have the best, kind of cloud slant. It's a very modern, pragmatic team. And now we get to benefit from detection content from 2 very cloud focused companies. And then that really amplifies our existing security team. Expel really lets us add kind of a safety net and kind of benefit from some herd immunity from what you're seeing across a much larger customer base. Things that could be a one-off in our environment that might seem weird could be a very common occurrence in other environments. And you guys can really help us cut through that noise and triage those alerts really quickly because you've seen them before.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the addition of Wiz is another great high fidelity signal into the overall protection of your organization, just, enables us that much further than to help you out. So appreciate your insights there, Jason. Thank you. All right, we got another question. It's not just a one question Q&A. So, could you share maybe a bit more about, what your use case is then for Wiz, AWS, and Expel, and what does this enable your security teams to do, as well as what does it enable your organization to do? Jason, maybe we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, Wiz definitely enabled us to harden AWS in a great way. We're big fans of the CIS benchmarks. We apply them liberally to every type of tech they cover. So Wiz really let us be extremely proactive in our AWS environment and completely harden everything, get great visibility, understand exactly what we had going on, and reduce any risk before we rolled out new offerings. Where our software is historically created for on-prem SCADA environments, but we are increasingly rolling out customer-facing microservices. We actually just announced a couple of them at our conference a week ago. And so we wanted to be proactively get way ahead of the curve in cloud security, build out hyper-hardened environment. And now we're really pivoting to the detection response side. And how do we make sure we have laser-focused, pragmatic, modern detections? And so that's just kind of where Wiz and Expel came in with, Wiz Defend and Expel MDR. Just gives us a lot more solid cloud detection offerings and making sure we have the capability to respond to stuff and have appropriate remediation capability 24/7, 365.
Yeah, that's awesome. That makes a lot of sense. Aaron, what about for you and DBT Labs?
Yeah, very similar story to Jason in terms of how we want to approach these problems and have just world-class detections and a world-class team. And you said it, Scott, at the top, hiring is a really difficult thing for us in the security world. And there are very few unicorns out there, probably none. And what I want to do is I want to build a really amazing team that loves to work with each other, and I want them to focus on novel problems. I want them to look at our infrastructure, the things that our engineers are doing that contribute uniquely to the data ecosystem. And in order for me to hire those people to focus on those problems, I have to be able to rest easy knowing that someone's covering the basics. And so I need to know that the visibility is there, that the detections are there, and that somebody somewhere is trying to figure out, what we know. And I don't really want one of these newfangled whiz bang AI detect the undetectable things, because we know what there is in the MITRE ATT&CK framework. We know that there are attack patterns that threat actors are using that are easy to detect if we have the right things in place, the right instrumentation and the right tools. And so I really want to rely on this awesome combination of visibility, telemetry, and detection engineering to make sure that I've covered those bases so that I can hire great people to focus on the really interesting problems.
Yeah, that definitely resonates, Aaron, and that's, really in line with what Expel's mission is to do, right? To give that space, like I was talking about earlier, and Jason, to your point as well, right? Just being able to think about how you wanted to build something out and doing it in a somewhat idealistic way, right? Like we want to make it super hardened, very secure, good response plan in place. So I really can see how all three of us have come together and hopefully, right, benefiting you. So that's great, and I love how you've thought about that, and obviously commend you on your ability to execute on it as well. Um, so let's next question is kind of about Wiz, so I want to be a bit more specific here. So since onboarding Wiz, what impacts have you guys seen so far? And, what do you anticipate seeing in the future? Jason, I think we'll start with you again.
I think the biggest impact for us was just really great visibility into our cloud environment. Whenever I try to solve a problem, I always start with visibility first. Like, let me wrap my head around what we have in play, build some kind of an asset inventory, then start to figure out, what are the configuration issues, the vulnerability issues, the risk issues, and how do I prioritize those? So Wiz gave us great inventory across multi-cloud. We run account heavy in AWS. Every new thing we spin up is a separate account. And so that can be kind of daunting without a tool that unifies that into one UI. So we proactively harden as much as we can. So this has been a great tool to let us just drive the CIS benchmarks across everything and audit in real time. And so that's probably the biggest thing, and let us get a really stable, secure cloud with our eyes on everything. And now I think we feel a lot more comfortable with what we have. Initially, you see the services spin up, and it's hard to piece it together. Like, oh, there's a database, there's an EC2, there's some containers here, and using like Wiz to graph that out and show the relationships between those, what's publicly exposed, what's not. The prioritization engine in Wiz is fantastic. So we're always kind of laser focused on the things that are truly critical, things that are actually exposed and touching PII. It's been a great thing to just let us really have a solid cloud security program.
Nice. Aaron, over to you on this one.
Yeah, I will just build on what Jason said. And, I came up through incident response and security operations. And so I probably, at this point in my career, spend way too much time looking at the reports and dashboards in Wiz, and should maybe do some other stuff. But I find them fascinating. And I find them fascinating because it's what Jason said. And then the way that we've been able to deploy the tool, like I can dig down into the command that was run that generated a particular alert and try to figure out, well, did my engineers do something weird? Is this a pattern? Is this an anti-pattern? Should we be not allowing this kind of behavior? And so ultimately, what that lets me do in my daily life is I don't just feel like I am doing the security work that I've been doing for most of my career. I don't feel like I'm just like finding alerts and tracking it down and tuning the systems and maybe finding an incident. But I feel like I can walk up to an engineering leader and I can say, hey, your guys are doing this. That they're not supposed to. Like, let's talk about how we do this better. Let's legitimately improve the posture of our platform for our customers. And I think that's fascinating. I don't think we've been able to do that until relatively recently with all of the tooling that's now available to us. So I'm super excited about using the tools that way, and I'm also really excited about the future of really getting code to cloud full visibility so that I can track back not just the command line, but the commit hash that added the thing that ran the command in production that caused the drift. Like that's just really powerful to make it so that we can have a rock solid secure platform.
Yeah, I love that. And Aaron, definitely appreciate your, pursuit of excellence and thinking about like the outcomes, not just for the business, but also for your customers as well, right, who are consuming. So I think that's a great, I love that vision and that thought process as you go into make decisions on behalf of the organization. So we had a poll earlier, right? We're like, hey, where are you guys at in your cloud journey? It's like cloud what? Or, like we're the experts here. We're here to fact check you guys. But for Aaron and Jason, for your peers on the call today, despite where they are in their journey and maturity in the cloud, what would you get, what advice would you give them regarding cloud securities, right? Any learnings you've had, best practices, any gotchas? Jason, you want to kick us off on this one?
Sure. I think fundamentally the cloud is different, and so it's important to embrace the different architectures the cloud affords you, and try to avoid lifting and shifting from on-prem, moving to more distributed microservice architectures. There's a lot of stuff like that you can take away. A lot of like tech debt you can remove when shifting from an on-prem to a cloud environment, moving to distributed, immutable, ephemeral architecture, containers that spin up and spin down. You can dodge old school issues like patching servers constantly just by rebuilding container images more frequently. So really avoiding anti-patterns of trying to shoehorn the old way into the cloud and just embrace the modern cloud principles. There's a tremendous amount of data and security capabilities in AWS or in any cloud where you can just tap into APIs. You can turn on security features with a couple of checkboxes. Historically, you would order a WAF and rack and stack it in your data center, and now you can just turn on AWS WAF with a couple of clicks. You can share that data around. Asset inventory is far easier in a cloud environment because you're literally paying for every asset. So tools like Wiz can give you a really holistic view of your entire cloud architecture. And there's not a great analogy to that on-prem. There isn't a Wiz style tool that you just kind of tap in via API and just there's all your stuff, your config, your risk, your vulnerabilities, all your assets, and detection content all in one UI. So tremendous security and resilience opportunities in the cloud if you do it right.
Definitely. I would agree. Aaron?
Thank you, Jason, for bringing that up. This like idea that it's not just a lift and shift, that the cloud is a fundamentally different architecture and has different patterns, and that we can actually eliminate classes of vulnerabilities if we do that transformation correctly. I think that's critical to understand, and I think as it is interesting to think about how many companies have not yet really adopted cloud platforms and what's to come. And it's just, I hope very much for our future that we get that right as we continue this process. The other thing that I wanted to say is I feel a bit broken record-ish, but when I think about what it is we're trying to do and grow security talent and find great people and really be able to focus on developing those unique skills that are important to you, your organization, your team, that it is so valuable to have a bedrock in a cloud platform that takes care of most of your OSI layer security stuff, have a really awesome tool that can help you, especially as we start, really adopting infrastructure as code, can help you understand what kind of infrastructure your engineers are declaring, how it's being put into your environment, where it's being changed in stream that you might not know about, and how you can then measure that against the benchmarks like the CIS benchmarks that Jason talked about, and really understand where you're measuring up and where you might have gaps or areas of improvement, and then using your security talent to go find out, well, can we do something different here? Can we innovate on this problem at layer 7 and figure out how to do this better? and to free people up to do that is a really hard thing. And I think we're getting there. And I really appreciate all of the tooling that we have and all of the people that have helped us along the way and partnered with me and my teams to make this happen.
Yeah, thanks for that, Aaron. Um, okay, final question for Jason and Aaron today. And really, thank you guys again. Your insights in what you guys are doing has definitely been invaluable. But I'd love maybe if you both can just take a moment and share what you're most excited for and what's coming up, whether it's with AWS, Wiz, Expel, cloud security in general. I'm interested into kind of what you're looking forward to. And Aaron, maybe we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, so I mean, I've shared with you a lot of hope already today and things that I see. I'll open up one more avenue, which is this idea of like DevSecOps and DevOps and whatever it is or has become or wants to be. I think that there's a lot of work for us to do as security practitioners to bring engineers closer to making good secure platforms. And it's not by making every engineer a security expert. I don't think that that's fair. I think that the security team obligation and the shared responsibilities that we have with engineers in our company is really to bring them into the fold with tools like Wiz, um, the foundational features in AWS, and to basically tell them that, you know, we've solved a lot of your problems. Now let's look at the ones that are really interesting, and let's use these tools to help you not commit bad code, not make the same mistakes that other people have made that have led to all of those cybersecurity breaches that you talked about up top, Scott, right? Like we know these things. We know them. We need to be able to not make the same mistakes and make new, unique, ridiculous mistakes in the future.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Jason?
Yeah, you know, on the AWS front, we're definitely excited about just having a bigger footprint there, rolling out some more customer-facing microservices, and having some more scalable architecture. On the Wiz front, we're excited about kind of the holistic roadmap we've seen between Wiz Code, Wiz Defend, Wiz Cloud. We already have security engineers, DevOps engineers, cloud engineers kind of sharing one tool. So being able to add in developers and security operations guys doing detection and response, all speaking the same language, shared tooling just makes their life way easier. I like to kind of meet people where they live and not send them over report smart tools or make them sign into our tool. So when we collectively have one tool, it just makes conversations way easier. And you're not fighting any battles uphill. And then we're excited for the remediation capabilities these new Wiz modules will unlock, and then how Expel can take advantage of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Thank you for that. And generally, thank you both, Jason and Aaron. Like really, really insightful stuff and really great to hear how you guys are synthesizing all of the things that we're all doing and offering and how you're making it something real within your organizations. And, you know, like you said, providing outcomes not just for your business, right, but for your customers as well. So I think hearing your stories is incredibly insightful and helpful for anybody out there as they're figuring out cloud security in general. Um, I'm going to kind of move us over and talk a little bit more with Shashank and Ashok about this. You know, we just heard a lot from both Aaron and Jason. And, you know, hopefully for everybody out there, you guys have been able to pull a couple tidbits down or something to, you know, start, you know, get the thought process going about what you might want to be doing in the cloud. But as far as some of the insights that they shared, you know, Ashok and Shashank, anything you would like to share in response? Maybe something regarding what they mentioned they were excited about or how they're using something. Shashank, maybe I can start with you on this one.
Yeah, first of all, it was so great hearing Aaron and Jason there. I feel like they encapsulated so much of what I hear from Wiz's own customers about their cloud security journey, the challenges they have, and how they've found value from tools like Wiz. So really excited to honestly share that with the team at Wiz. So thank you so much, Aaron and Jason. Um, in terms of what I'm excited about, I just want to touch on maybe a few things that they actually mentioned. I think two things that stick out. One is the graph context. Wiz, one of the secret sauces of Wiz is not only do we look at risks like misconfigurations, vulnerability, sensitive data in isolation, but we actually tie all of those things together and correlate them on a graph to show you very clearly if you have a virtual machine that's exposed to the internet, how is a misconfiguration going to enable a threat actor to get into your cloud environment? And then take a role that has excessive permission or admin permissions, and then actually laterally move over to sensitive data that's sitting in like an S3 bucket or a DynamoDB database. So that Wiz security graph just makes it very simple and clear to understand what the problem is and why it's very critical for you to solve it. I think one of the exciting things is we're going to continue to add more and more context to that Wiz security graph. So again, going with the CIS benchmarks that were mentioned for Wiz, we're going to continue to add more things like Snowflake CIS benchmarks, things like for Okta and other resources that are out there that are in the cloud environment. We're going to continue to add coverage for those. And then I think the second thing I want to touch on is just best of breed. I think one of the big challenges for Wiz and what we're really looking forward to is the fact that we're expanding our product suite and offering them to other folks in the security ecosystem. So with Wiz Code, we're getting closer to the developer ecosystem. So I think really thinking through how do we embed into the workflows that developers already have. So if developers are working within an IDE and that's where they're building their code and that's where they're getting their errors for their code itself, how do we embed the Wiz scanners directly into something like Visual Studio Code and having any scans for vulnerabilities, misconfigurations that would pop up in the cloud, let's pop those up a little bit earlier right in the workflows that developers have. Again, whether that's IDEs, whether that's within their CI/CD platforms. So I think continuing to be best of breed, not only for the cloud and for posture management and for risks, but migrating that to the developer ecosystem. And then in the same way, ensuring that we're best of breed for kind of the threat detection piece of things, which is really where our acquisition of Gem Security earlier this year kind of comes in, where they're bringing in a lot of the cloud detection and response expertise, the SOC expertise, and ensuring that we're building the right threat detection mechanisms within our platform. And I think that's also going to be the thing that continues to expand our integration with Expel, where the more enrichment we can get for our threat detection issues that we're sending over to the cybersecurity experts at Expel, the easier it becomes for them to have the context necessary to fix issues for our customers. So I think those are the things that, at least from what they said, really stand out to me.
Yeah, appreciate that, and definitely always eager to consume new Wiz signal and figure out how we help out our customers operationalize that. Ashok, maybe want to pivot then to you quickly, like based on what Jason and Aaron were talking about, what were some of your takeaways or responses to some of that?
Absolutely. I think both Aaron and Jason stressed upon the on-demand nature of AWS, right? Like instead of waiting for months, you can spin up services and features, which you can spin up in a matter of minutes and, kind of bridges the gap. So I think from that perspective, right, AWS offers a comprehensive set of services and features, which helps many organizations in the journey to AWS, right? I think we talked about lift and shift or not doing lift and shift, but few customers choose to do that. Some choose to optimize a bit, whereas few, try to migrate and modernize at the same time, right? But I think, in my opinion, no matter which option we choose, right, following the security best practices and using the right tool really helps making sure your accounts are secure, you have the right configuration, and you are managing your users well, right? And one thing, I think we talked about CIS benchmark, right? But we didn't focus on this aspect that many times adhering to certain compliance and regulation is a key focus from an organization standpoint as well. So we cannot forget that aspect. So in that space, right, AWS continuously enhance its security features and services to help basically strengthen your security posture, right? As an example, when we think of Security Hub, it provides a comprehensive view of security alerts and compliance in general, right? We talk about Amazon Guard Duty, right? It's a threat detection service which continuously monitors your environment. And I think in addition to that, a lot of our partners, we have like a huge ecosystem of partners who provide a lot of value add to these services and complement well. We talked about that, the gap between DevOps and security teams in general, right? This integration between Wiz and Expel kind of bridges that gap and make it more robust solution. Wiz as a CNAP provides that deep visibility, what you're looking for in your environment, which can help you identify misconfigurations, vulnerabilities, compliance issues, and Expel with its MDR capabilities provide that really secure posture that you're looking for. I think if I oversimplify this basically provides the turnkey solution that helps you improve and simplify your cloud security operations.
Yeah, I think you said it really well there, Ashok, right? It's about having the right tooling in place and then having somebody like Expel come in and help us manage all that output, right? And really helping prioritize and respond when something is going bump in the night, as we say. So thank you for that. Um, One last question for you guys then, for Shashank and Ashok. So, what do you think can be valuable for customers like DBT and Inductive? Automation by bringing cloud security together under all of us, right? Is there a magic combo there? Where can they start? Shashank, maybe I'll pass this one to you to get going with.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. I mean, I think the big value is very well articulated so far today, but I think really it just brings a level of confidence, especially as you're either starting a new company and starting cloud native, or you're an existing company on-prem and you're migrating to the cloud. I think adjusting to that migration or starting within the cloud, it just adds confidence that, hey, I can focus on building and I can kind of have security be best of breed and know that I have the tools necessary to have the visibility and also the response necessary for me to fix the issues that are necessary. So I think at the end of the day, bringing together a tool like Wiz and Expel answers the two most important kind of criteria for security, which is identification or detection, which is really what Wiz is focused on and giving you the prioritized issues, and then the response, which is really what Expel is focused on. So I think to put it simply, it just helps a lot of our customers sleep better at night to have both of these solutions together and know that they're running.
Yeah, I agree a lot there, Shashank. Thanks for that. Ashok, what do you think about this? Like, what's that? Is there a magic combo, or where does somebody start?
I wish there was a magic recipe, but unfortunately not, right? I think in the end, it all has to make sense for what our customers are looking for, what are the problems we are trying to solve, right? Um, like AWS offers like depth and breadth of different services that helps you enable your journey. The large ecosystem of partners I referenced earlier have like specialization features and offering that helps you bridge the gap. And I think by combining these, like integrating like things like Wiz and Expel, you expand the capability and functionality that your customers are looking for, and basically address the specific need in that particular segment. I think throughout this conversation, we talked a lot about DevOps versus security, and I want to focus on the versus word here because many times developers look security as a point of friction, and it becomes a priority issue that, hey, should I work on this feature or should I solve this security incident, right? Integrations like this actually makes it seamless for even for developers to address those challenges. And whether you are leveraging AWS services, by integrating these with partner solutions like Wiz and Expel, you are giving your developers a chance to fix these issues and focus on the challenge, which is the key aspect, and filtering the noise at the same time. Um, I think in a nutshell, it's kind of streamlining your security operations in general.
Yeah,
And Scott, just really quick, if I can add something.
please.
Um, I think for the question of where can they start, I think the most important thing is like just kind of map where you're at today, right? So within the last month or last couple of months, what are the most significant cloud security issues that you and your team and your development teams have all had to kind of deal with? And where were the gaps? What was the potential missing visibility of a new team using containers, a new AI service in your ecosystem? What were the information gaps back and forth between the teams? And then why did remediation or investigation take so long? So I think where to start is kind of identifying within the large problems that have existed over the last couple of months in your own team. Where are those gaps? And then trying to figure out, hey, like what are the solutions out there that can maybe give me that information or enable me to support in the remediation process with something like Expel. So I think starting with where you're at today is key.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's something that we often do with our customers, right? Is help them identify like, hey, this is where we feel like we have a gap right now, and what do we need to do to get there? And obviously, when it comes to responding, right, and helping with a lot of the work that Aaron and Jason have described for us, right? Yeah, we want to help them identify that, and then if it's about bringing on tooling, right, or whatever it needs to be, we want to be that consultative, provide that consultative approach. So I agree, right? Like map it out, and then like Jason was even talking about, like how do we do it right from the get-go, and what do we need to put in place to get it done that way?
For sure.
Awesome. Um, this has been great. I have had a blast talking with everybody on the phone here today. This has definitely been the coolest webinar that I've ever been a part of. Definitely the coolest one that I've ever got to host. So many, many thanks to everybody here and everybody that's on the webinar today. We do have some Q&A. I also know that we're about to drop another poll in there, so expect another pop-up coming at you from Zoom. But yeah, we've had a couple questions in, and then we got about 7-ish minutes. So I'm gonna pull a couple of these and we'll kind of freestyle to the end now. So Ashok, I think this one is aimed at you, and I think you actually touched on this a little bit earlier. So would you maybe be able to help us? How do you see the integrations? I think meaning like Expel and Wiz and AWS supporting AWS specific compliance frameworks like CIS and AWS Foundations benchmarking.
Sure. Thanks, Scott. I think that's a great question. When we look at compliance adherence and the requirements, how we meet those compliance benchmarks, I think the key thing that comes to my mind is one, continuous compliance monitoring. You need to have a comprehensive coverage. You need to have automated checks, prioritize remediation, and in the end, detailed reporting or feedback. I think all these ingredients make a good recipe for having a good compliance foundation. I think this integration fits right into that. It provides a powerful tooling mechanism to maintain and demonstrating that compliance. It helps you identify gaps, provide you visibility what you're looking for, helps you with that remediation effort, and provides you with the necessary documentation that significantly eases the burden of maintaining compliance in a complex environment, especially in a multi-account environment. So I think it kind of checks all the items on the checklist itself.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And I think we got one more in here that we can take. So I think this one is directed at me. So I'm gonna answer my own question really quickly. The question was, what integrations does Expel have with AWS currently? So for our customers that we support, their AWS infrastructure, we are monitoring both guard duty alerting that's being produced by the environment, as well as ingesting the global CloudTrail logging. And then we use this obviously to source detections from, as well as providing good contextual evidence and decision support when we might be working in, a Wiz issue that comes through from a customer who also has that. So those are our primary integration points, but that CloudTrail obviously serves as great contextual evidence to be able to query automatically. All right, I think we got one more coming in here. Sorry, I'm getting some live information. So question is do either of the practitioners leverage containers in their AWS environments? And if so, do you use Wiz for runtime protection and Expel for the monitoring? Opinions on that. Aaron and Jason, I think this is for you guys.
Yeah. So yes, we run almost exclusively Kubernetes and containers inside that environment. I will let you all in on a little secret, and thank you so much for the question, Ravi. I've been a super skeptic of the agent infrastructure, and I have in many months ago actually sat down with the Expel team and said, "Hey, I can do this. Should I? Are you going to get anything from it? Is it going to be useful?" And we had a real conversation about where the technology was at the time and where it was going. And I chose not to deploy agents at the time, but I have since chosen to deploy agents now. And I'll tell you this one little story I said before about being able to look at what commands are being run on one of our systems in order to do an investigation. That comes directly from having that agent infrastructure. Now, would I feel as safe and secure without it? Maybe. I think there's a lot of good reasons why it is not a requirement, but I definitely get to the heart of investigations faster when I have that technology at my disposal.
I think, yeah, same for us. We do have runtime sensors in play, ECS and Fargate. Yeah, It's a nuanced conversation about the pros and cons, but so far so good with us.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Aaron and Jason. All right, everybody, we're running right up on the top of the hour, so I think we're gonna move to wrap this up. I think we got one more poll that's gonna be dropping in your Zoom window here. So again, just wanted to extend gratitude to everybody that's on the webinar here with me. Aaron, Shashank, Jason, Ashok, to my team at Expel for helping put this together, Caitlin, Courtney, and the rest of the marketing team. This has been wonderful. And to everybody who attended today, thank you so much for spending an hour with us today. This was fantastic. And again, I'm super honored to be here and have acted as your host. So have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you all.